Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing fine. Today I, Sahil Ahmed from Alia University Civil Second Year is going to give a lecture on the topic wood and wood products. And I have been assigned this lecture from Mr. Mohsin Jamal sir. So now let's begin with the lecture. Now here is the first slide which shows some basic information about wood and wood products. Now in the first point it is mentioned that wood is the most used natural building materials. So from now we can refer fact that in the previous lecture of brick we have noticed that brick is one of the most used artificial building material, and therefore wood is the most used natural building materials. So here are two different aspects of building materials you can see. And now in the second point, a number of valuable properties can be obtained from woods such as low heat conductivity, small work density, relatively high strength, amenability to mechanical work. Now, amenability to mechanical work basically means that it can be worked on very easily, and it can be given any shape, and it can be used to make any tool, etc. Now, it can be used in the most economical form also, as we know that none of the part of the wood goes to waste. Even the bark of the wood is used as fuel in kacha homes, and the even the sawdust of the wood is used to make fiber boards, paper, etc. And even it is used in insulating. It acts as an insulator in poultry farms. Now in the next slide it is there is a flow chart which shows the structure, which shows the classification of trees on the mode in the class on the mode of growth. Now trees can be divided into two parts, exogenous and endogenous. And what is exogenous? Now in the name itself it is mentioned that exo and endo. Now exo means outward growth and endo means inward growth. In exogenous trees, the growth takes from the outer side of the tree, which means that the new cell grows. Wait a second. Now the new cell grows from the outer side of the trees. On the other hand, in case of endogenous trees, the growth is inward. That is, the new cell of the trees generate from the inner side. That is in the center of the vertical cross section. Now, the strength of the exogenous trees are greater than endogenous trees. Therefore, in most of the engineering uses, exogenous tree is used. Therefore, for engineers, endogenous trees does not have such significance. Now, exogenous trees can be further divided into two divisions, that is conifer trees and deciduous trees. Now, conifer trees also have another name, which is softwood trees, and deciduous trees are also known as hardwood trees, because most of the trees in coniferous trees are their wood is their wood is soft in comparison to deciduous trees. And the example of coniferous trees are such as pine. They are basically needle shaped leaves, and in deciduous trees they have a broad shaped leaves. Now since deciduous trees have broad shaped leaves, they also require a lot of water due to greater transpiration. Therefore, in the season of autumn or spring, the deciduous trees shed their leaves for better growth, and the coniferous trees have their leaves on them for the 12 months of the years, because the surface area of their leaves is low in comparison to deciduous trees. Therefore, they are also known as evergreen trees. Okay, now moving on to the next slide. Now here it is given in description. The description of exogenous and endogenous trees is given here, which I have just mentioned earlier. So you can see the examples of coniferous trees are pine, fir, redwood, spruce, deodar, cedar, etc. And in most of the cases, coniferous trees is found in hilly areas. Now, in case of deciduous trees, they are mostly found in the tropical region. Now deciduous trees are hardwood producing trees, as I have mentioned earlier. Most of the trees produce hardwood in deciduous trees. Now their example are maple, mahogany, oak, teak, walnut, babul, and shisham, and shisham is also included in them, and sal also. Now endogenous trees. Now you can see endogenous trees are inward growing trees which contains fibrous mass in the longitudinal section. The timber from these trees is useful in some limited engineering purpose. So endogenous is has a limited use in engineering purposes, and the prominent example of endogenous trees are bamboo, palm, cane, etc. Now the next part is the structure of tree. Now the structure of tree can be divided in two categories as follows: macrostructure and microstructure. Now macrostructure is the portion of the tree which can be seen with naked eyes, and microstructure is the divisions of trees which is the part of trees which can be seen only with the help of microscope in certain special laboratories. Now here is a picture of entire tree. Now in engineering terms, a tree can be divided into three parts. That is basically the topmost part, which contains the most of the leaves, is known as crown, and the middle part is known as bark, and the lowermost fibrous part is known as root. Now here is a radial section of wood. You can see the parts of the trees are mentioned here, which is first of all the the centermost part, that is pith. After that the heartwood. Now after that the medullary rays, which are certain like this. They are placed like this inside of the trees. They are irregular in shape. Now after that is sapwood, and inside the outermost layer, that is cambium, is present, and the outermost layer is known as bark. Now in the next slide, the macrostructure is given here descriptively. You can see. Now the macrostructure of tree contains following components, that is pith, heartwood, sapwood, cambium, inner bark, outer bark, medullary rays. Now here in this picture you can see pith. This is the pith. Now the definition of pith is given here. The core part or innermost part of the trees is called pith. It contains cellulose tissues. So it is to be remembered that it contains cellulose tissues, which acts as a stored energy for new tissues to grow, which are helpful for the growth of plant during its young age. Now the next part, that is heartwood. Now heartwood is the portion around the pith which is dark in color. So you can see it is mentioned that heartwood is relatively dark in color in comparison to pith, and contains some annual rings. So annual rings start from heartwood. So annual rings can be identified from heartwood, and before that in pith annual rings cannot be identified easily. It is very hard and provides rigidity to the tree. So it is also very hard and provides rigidity to the tree. Hardwood is used for several engineering purposes. Since it provides rigidity, therefore it can be used for different engineering purposes. You can see the hardwood is here. Just after the pith, there is a hardwood is present, which contains some annual rings. Now next, that is sapwood. Now sapwood contains outer annual ring. This indicates the recent growth of trees and is light in color. It contains sap which helps in the growth of trees. Therefore, in sapwood, the annual rings which are there are very young, and there is also a special fluid present in here for better growth of trees, and it is also light in color as compared to hardwood, because they are young, because the annual rings over here is young and not so mature as compared to hardwood. Now next is cambium layer. Cambium layer contains sap which will turn into sapwood after some time it should not expose to atmosphere, otherwise the tree may die. Now you can see here it is mentioned that the cambium layer, if exposed to atmosphere, the tree may die. Therefore we have to take care of cambium layer very much, that so that the tree is alive and for the betterment of the tree. Now the bark of a tree contains is of certain thickness, therefore they are divided into two parts, that is inner bark and outer bark. Now the function of the inner bark is to protect the cambium layer, as cambium layer is a very sensitive layer. If exposed to atmosphere, the tree may die. So it has a very significant for trees. Now the outer bark, the outermost layer of the tree section is called outer bark or cortex. For some trees, the outer bark is also known as cortex. It contains cells of wood fiber. Now medullary rays, the ray extending from the pith radially are known as medullary rays. Here you can see these are the medullary rays. These rays hold the annual ring of sapwood and heartwood together, so they act as a binding material between the sapwood and heartwood. Because the consistency of sapwood and heartwood is different, so there needs to be a support which keeps them intact. Now here are some characteristics of good timbers. Now the principal characteristics of timber of concern are strength and durability, because for an engineer strength and durability is the topmost priority, and finished appearance gives an aesthetic look to the house or different wood products. Now narrow annual rings, closer the rings greater is the strength. Now narrow annual rings indicates that the strength of the tree is greater. Now compact medullary rays gives a better chance for the sapwood and heartwood to bind together. Now dark color means that the wood is mature enough. Now uniform texture for better working capability. Now sweet smell and shining fresh cut surface. When struck, sonorous sound is produced, free from the defects in timber. Heavy weight, no wooliness at fresh cut surface. So there should be no fibrous structure when the tree is cut. So it must be smooth. No wooliness structure like this fiber structure should be present after cut. Here are some features which are considered for a timber to be of good character, such as the factors are durability, strength, permeability, hardness, toughness, elasticity, workability, weight, structure, defects, fire resistance. Now these factors would be discussed descriptively in the further slides. So now moving on to the next slide, durability. Durability is the first priority of any kind of engineering material. As mentioned earlier, for engineering materials it is very important to be durable, and the strength of it must be good. Now good timber should be durable enough to resist the action of chemical agents, biological agents, physical agencies, etc. Now wood is weak against the action of strong acids, but it can withstand weak acids and alkali solutions. So in case of strong acids, the wood would get destroyed because they cannot handle the effect of the strong acid or strong alkalis. Now second is strength. Now strength is the resistance against failure. So strength is the resistance against failure. So wood must be capable of taking good amount of load, as it is mentioned here. The strength of timber varies depending on the direction. Now the strength of timber varies depending on the direction it is loaded. So the direction of load also acts as a factor of the strength of the wood. Now strength is considered as an important property while designing structural wood members such as wooden beams, joints, rafters, etc. Here is a picture which shows different kinds of bond of wood used in structural projects. Now permeability. Now the permeability of timber should be less. That is, the amount of water that would enter the wood must not be more than 8 to 12% for an ideal wood. The water permeability of timber depends upon various factors such as moisture content of timber, age of timber, type of cut, etc. So there are a variety of factors which decide the permeability of a timber. But the permeability should not be greater than 8 to 12% for an ideal wood. Now hardness is also a very important factor for engineers. Now hardness is the resistance against penetration. Good timber should be hard and workable. The hardness of the timber depends upon its density and hardwood properties. So here also you can see that there are another properties which determine the hardness of a timber. Stronger is the hardwood, higher is the hardness of timber. Now here is a picture which shows that the penetration of a nail into the wood with the help of striking of a hammer. Now fifth is toughness. Toughness is also another significant property for engineers. Now toughness is the resistance against sudden shock or vibration. So it should be able to resist sudden shock and vibrations. Now a good timber should be tough enough to resist sudden impact loads and vibration. The toughness of timber is improved by the good interlocking of grains in the structure. So the particles inside the wood must be bonded together very nicely. A good tough timber is used to make handles of different tools, part of automobiles, etc. So the wood which is of greater toughness is used to mainly make handles of different tools, parts of automobiles, etc. So you can see here that the wood which is tough is used to make handles of chisels, wooden hammer, and different carving tools used in furniture making. Now next is elasticity. Now elasticity, a good timber should be elastic. Elasticity is the property of regaining its original shape after the deformation causing loads are removed. A good elastic timber is used to make sports items, shafts, bows, etc. Now elasticity is basically the property which suggests that after the load is removed from the wood, it gains its original shape and size. Now here you can see a baseball bat is striking a baseball. Now this wood must be elastic, otherwise it would fail. Now in this case, when the ball is hitting the baseball, it is giving a load. It is giving a load on the baseball, and after the ball is hit, after the ball is removed in contact of the bat, then the wood regains its original shape and size. Therefore, this wood must be elastic. Now, workability of timber is the ease which it can cut out into the required shape. A good timber is easily workable. It should not damage or block the teeth of the saw during cutting. Therefore, the wood must be workable. We must be able to cut through it easily and give different special shapes for furniture making and wood products. Now number 8 is the weight. The timber should be heavy as much as it looks. A timber is said to be good if it weighs heavy. Lightweight timbers are less in strength and unsound. Therefore, the timber must be as heavy as it looks. They should not be hollow or light in weight according to their size ratio. Now 9 is the structure. A timber with uniform structure is said to be a good timber. The fibers of timber should be straight and firm. The annual rings of timber should be closely located, indicating the fact that the tree is mature enough to use it for making timber products. The medullary race should be hard and compact. In general, an age of 50 to 100 years is considered a good age for felling of trees. So, we have to keep in mind that 50 to 100 years is a good age for felling of trees. It is a very important fact. Now, in this picture, you can see it is a colorful picture of the previous mentioned parts. Now, here is the pith, and this is the heartwood, which contains some annual rings. You can see the heartwood is deep in color as compared to this sapwood. Now, this is the sapwood. This is the cambium layer. This is the cambium layer. You can see the growth ring. This is the late wood and this is early wood. Now in this, this is the inner bark and this is the outer bark. Now here you can see inner bark is divided into further two parts, that is secondary folium and cork cambium. Now defects. A timber is said to be good when it's free from any kind of defects caused by natural forces such as burrs, knots, shakes, etc. And also it should be free from various fungal defects such as blue stain, dry rot, wet rot, etc. Here is a wood. You can see here are some defects. We would know about defects in further slides in description. But for now you can see this is a wood which is not regular in color and shape. So it can be easily identified that there is some problem in this wood and cannot be used for ideal furniture work or any kind of wood processing work. Now fire resistance. Fire resistance of timber is very low. All the timber types, dense wood offers the most resistance against fire, but up to certain limit only. The thermal conductivity of timber depends upon various factors such as moisture content, density, porosity, etc. Now again here, the fire resistance of a wood also depends on various factors such as moisture content, density, porosity, etc. And the ideal fire resisting timber is the type which is made up of dense wood. Means in dense wood the medullary rays are compact and the annual rings are also very close to each other, which have a greater strength. And these are the secondary factors which affect fire resistance. Now number 12 is mechanical one. Now wood are also used for different mechanical purposes such as wooden floors, pavements, etc. Made of timber are continuously subject to traffic loads. Traffic loads means inconsistent load which are given certainly at a time, and which are also the duration of the load is also very short. Now hence good timber should not deteriorate easily against mechanical wear or abrasion. Now here you can see wood flooring is given. So this wood flooring must be able to handle traffic loads and should not deteriorate easily against any mechanical wear. 13 is appearance. The appearance of a good timber should be shiny when it is freshly sawed. The shining appearance is due to resinous matter present in the timber. The appearance of timber depends upon the arrangement of cells in its structure. If they are arranged in a uniform manner, the uniform appearance will be obtained after cutting. Fungal defects such as blue stain, sap stain, etc. damage the appearance of timber. So we have to keep in mind that also blue stain and sap stain determine the appearance of a timber. So these are also another factors which determine the appearance of a timber rather than the content of resinous matter. 14 is the color. The strength of timber can be estimated by looking at its color. Light color designates low strength timber while dark color indicates high strength timber. This is a very easy method to identify good quality timber, that is to look at the color. If it is light in color, it designates low strength, and if it is dark in color, it indicates high strength. Therefore high strength means dark color and low strength means light color. Hence dark color timber is favorable for engineering works. Now here, shape. The shape of timber should not be disturbed while cutting and seasoning. A bad timber may bow or wrap or split during conversion. So a bad timber may withstand the process of splitting during conversion. Now smell. The smell of a good timber is sweet. Bad or unpleasant smell indicates decayed timber, or there must be any defect in the timber, so it may smell unpleasant. Now here are some woods which you can see that they are distorted in shape, and mainly they get distorted during splitting, during conversion. Now, so 17 is sound. The velocity of sound in timber is approximately 12 times more than that in air, and we have to keep in mind also that the velocity of sound increases in case of hardwood only. It is approximately 12 times more than that of air. Hence, a good timber should produce clear ringing sound when struck. This is the reason why many musical instruments are made of wood, such as you can see that the drum, guitar, etc. are mainly made up of wood, because they have a very high velocity of the sound has very high velocity in this than in air. A dull heavy sound designates decayed timber. Now here you can see a giant wooden megaphone to amplify sound. These were basically used in ancient times, and nowadays only musical instruments are being made from wood for better sound quality. Now next is the seasoning of timber. It is also a very important part for a timber. Now, timber cut from freshly felled trees is too wet for normal use and is dimensionally unsuitable. Seasoning is the process of reducing the moisture content. So moisture is a major enemy of timber. In order to prevent the timber from possible fermentation and making it suitable for use, it can also be defined as a process of drying the wood. So in simple words, seasoning is basically drying the wood to a moisture content approximately equal to the average humidity of the surrounding, so that if the humidity changes, the shape of the wood may not change. Where it is to be permanently fixed, very rapid seasoning after removal of bark should be avoided, since it causes hardening and thus increases resistance to penetration of preservatives. Some of the objects of seasoning woods are as follows. Some of the objects: reduce the shrinkage and warping after placement in structure, increases strength, durability and workability, reduce its tendency to split and decay, make it suitable for painting, reduce its weight. So these are the functions of seasoning. Methods of artificial seasoning can be classified in two types, that is natural and artificial. Now, natural or air seasoning: the log of wood is sawn into planks of convenient sizes and stacked under a covered shed in crosswise direction in alternate layers. Here you can see that it is laid in a special form. These are some supports given, and on that wood is laid in the, you can see, in the horizontal direction, and this wood is kept in the perpendicular direction. So you can see again this in the horizontal direction, in the opposite direction. So they are laid in a special form for better airflow. These are the gaps. These black spots are the gaps for airflow, so as to permit free circulation of air. The duration of drying depends upon the type of wood. So the duration of drying mainly depends on the type of wood and the size of the planks. Greater the surface area, greater the drying rate. The rate of drying is, however, very slow. Air seasoning reduces the moisture content of the wood to 12 to 15%. It is used very extensively in drying ties and large size structural timbers. So natural or air seasoning is mostly used in India. Artificial seasoning is not so much in use in India, because natural seasoning is cheaper than artificial seasoning. Now, artificial seasoning also have different methods. Now, the first method included in artificial seasoning is water seasoning. The logs of woods are kept completely immersed in a running stream of water with the larger ends pointing upstream. So we have to keep in mind that the logs of wood which are to be seasoned must be, this is water, must be kept. Suppose this is a waterfall coming down from a mountain, and the logs of wood must be kept in the direction of upstream, pointing the upstream. Now consequently the sap, sugar and gum are leached out and are replaced by water. So in this process the sap, sugar and gum are leached out and replaced by water. The logs are then kept out in air to dry. It is a quick process, but the elastic properties and strength of the wood are reduced. So while water seasoning the wood, we have to keep in mind that elastic properties and strength of wood will get reduced for that particular timber. Now boiling in water or exposing the wood to the action of steam spray is a very quick but expensive process of seasoning. So it is not much convenient for seasoning of wood. Now the next is clean seasoning. It's adopted for rapid seasoning of timber on large scale to any moisture content. The scantling are arranged for free circulation of heated air with some moisture or superheated steam. The circulating air takes up moisture required from wood and seasoned. Two types of clean are present, that is the progressive and the compartment clean are in use. For most successful clean seasoning, the timber should be brought to a high temperature as it will stand without injury before drying is begun. Otherwise, the moisture in the hot outer fibers of the wood will tend to flow towards the cooler interior. With clean drying, there is a little loss in strength of timber. So again here, in clean seasoning, there is a loss in strength of timber, usually less than 10%. The strength of timber usually decreases by 10%, less than 10%. Also, the wood is more thoroughly and evenly dried, thus reducing the hygroscopicity of the wood. Now here is a picture of the progressive clean. You can see here. Now this is the picture of a compartment kiln. Now it is also known as compartment kiln. In it, the process of seasoning is carried in single compartment only. In it, the drying operations are adjusted as drying proceeds. The kiln is adopted for seasoning of timber, which required a close control of humidity and temperature. It gives better results than progressive kiln. You can see this is the picture of a compartment kiln. Now the other methods are chemical or salt seasoning. An aqueous solution of certain chemicals have lower vapor pressure than that of pure water. So basically in this process, chemical or salt seasoning, the wood is covered with common salt or you can see common salt or urea generally the latter is preferred as the corrosive action of common salt is a drawback. Now here the chemical or salt seasoning is done, it is spread on the wood and kept for a certain time. And the next is electrical seasoning. Electrical seasoning, the logs are placed in such a way that the two ends touch the electrodes. So basically it is done by electrolysis. In electric seasoning, electrolysis is used for drying the wood, seasoning of the wood. The logs are placed in such a way that the two ends touch the electrodes. Current is passed through the setup. Being a bad conductor, wood resists the flow of current, generating heat in the process, which results in drying. The drawback is that the wood may split. So here is another drawback, that the wood may split. Now classification of timber on the basis of its position. Now standing timber means a living tree. Standing timber means a living tree. A rough timber forms a part of the felled tree. So rough timber may be referred to felled tree. Now converted timber or lumber are long of timber sawn into planks, posts, etc. The converted timber means processed timber, which are basically made planks, posts, etc. Now on the basis of grading, all grading specifications are clearly distinguished between structural or stress grading and commercial or utility grading based on Indian standard classification. So grading are basically specified in structural or stress grading, commercial or utility grading as per Indian standards. Structural grading is also known as stress grading. However, there is a small distinction between the two. Structural grading refers to the principle by which the material is graded on the basis of visible defects which have known effects on the strength properties of the material. Stress grading refers to the principle by which the material is graded by consideration of maximum principal stresses to which it can be subjected. So structural grading is basically defined on visible defects and the maximum principal stress which it can be subjected to According to these factors, structural grading is determined. Now, structural grading is further divided as grading based on known effects of defects and estimating accumulative value, machine grading. Now, commercial grading, also known as yard grading or utility grading, refers to the principle by which the material is graded by consideration of the usefulness of the material and price factor. So, in case of commercial grading, the material is classified on the basis of price factor and usefulness of material. Price factor and usefulness of material, these are the two factors. And in case of structural grading, consideration of maximum principal stress and material visible defects. Now, commercial grading is further divided in the following classes. Grade A, the classification is based on dimensions and general appearance. The dimension of lengths, widths and thickness of converted materials are measured. The system is prevalent in Kerala and Mysore. Now here mainly the dimension of lengths, widths and thickness of converted materials are considered. In grade B, the classification is based on the best ultimate use of the material. So grade B is based on the best ultimate use of the material. Such a system is mostly in Andhra Pradesh. So grade classification is mostly used in Andhra Pradesh and some parts of Tamil Nadu. Here each grade is further divided into A, B and C classes to indicate occurrence of defects. Only two lengths are recognized: long L, which is 5 meter and above, and short S, that is under 5 meter. Each log is stamped such as BAL, which means beam A class long, PBS meaning plank B class short, etc. Sometimes another letter is also added indicating the species, example for teak. Now grade C, the classification is based on qualitative evaluation of defects and a rough estimate of outturn of utilizable material. It is prevalent in Madhya Pradesh. So this classification is based on the qualitative evaluation of defects and a rough estimate of outturn. So the outturn it is giving after utilizing the material is a considerable factor in grade C. Now in grade D, this classification is based on the evaluation of units of defect and fixing the permissible number of standard volume of area or the material in each grade. This system is prevalent in Bombay region and is increasingly adopted in Indian standards and is recognized internationally. So grade C is important as it is being recognized by Indian standards and also internationally. On the modulus of elasticity, the specifiers of timber recommended for constructional purpose are classified as: Group A, modulus of elasticity in bending above 12.5 kN per millimeter square, and the modulus of elasticity in bending above 9.8 kN per millimeter square and below 12.5 kN millimeter square is of group B. Now group C is modulus of elasticity in bending above 5.6 kN per millimeter square and below 9.8 kN per millimeter square. Now classification based on availability. Now based on availability, which is mentioned in the category IS code 3391963, classifies timber as X. X means most common, and and the availability of this timber is 1415 millimeter cube or more per year. It is available. And Y, common, 335 millimeter cube to 1415 millimeter per years. Now Z, less common, which is very rare wood, which is available less than 335 millimeter cube per year, is in Z category. This is based upon the figures supplied by the forest departments. Now this is data which is given by forest departments. Now based on durability, there is some classification. Now test specimens of size 600 into 50 into 50 millimeters are buried in the ground for this test. Ground to half their length. So to half their length, they are buried inside the ground. So 50% of the length is buried inside the ground and 50% is above the ground, like this. The condition of the specimen at various intervals of times are noted. The condition of the specimen at various intervals of time are noted, and from these observations their average life is calculated. Timbers are classified based upon such observations as of low durability, average life of less than 60 months, high durability, average life of 120 months and over, moderate durability, average life of less than 120 months but of 60 months, but over 60 months. On the basis of seasoning characteristics, now timbers are classified depending upon their behavior to cracking and splitting during normal air seasoning practice. So air seasoning means natural seasoning under three categories: high refractory, are slow and difficult to season, free from defects. Now high refractory, which is class A, on the basis of seasoning, are slow and difficult to season, which is free from defects, and moderately refractory, class B, may be seasoned, free from surface defects, etc. if some protection is given against rapid drying. Non-refractory class C, these can be rapidly seasoned, free from defects. Now here are some points given on the topic defects in timber. So here defects in timber is described broadly. Defects can occur in timber at various stages, principally during the growing period and during the conversion and seasoning process. The defects in the wood, as shown in figure 4.4, are due to irregularities in the character of grains. So this is the figure. Defects affect the quality, reduce the quantity of useful wood, reduce the strength, spoil the appearance, and favor its decay. So these are some special shapes. You can see the star shape, the heart shape. Here are the defects. A cup shape, you can see here are the defects present. Knots, these are the knots in the trees. Now this is ringall, and these are the twisted fibers. These are like this. The upsets are basically up and downs in the surface. So these are various types of defects in timbers as a construction material. These defects in timber can be due to natural forces, fungi, insects, and during seasoning and conversion. Type of these defects in woods are discussed in details. Trees gives us the timber which is converted into the required form and finally used. Before reaching this final stage, timber comes across many critical stages like growing without defects, cutting at the right time, seasoning, converting, and using. Different type of defects occur in timbers at these various stages. Now, defects in timber due to natural forces. So this is more important from our exam perspective. Defects in timber due to natural forces. Now, wind cracks, shakes, twisted fibers, upsets, ringgalls, burls, water stain, chemical stain, dead wood, knots, coarse grain, foxiness, druxiness, callus, etc. Now, wind cracks in timber. If the wood is exposed continuously to high-speed winds, the outer surface shrinks and form cracks externally, which are called wind cracks. So, if you can see the cracks, these are due to heavy wind, which gives continuous pressure on the surface, which is cut and kept for seasoning. These are the cracks. So timber should not be exposed to high speed winds, otherwise there may be wind cracks in them. Shakes in timber. Shakes can be of different shapes. Shakes are nothing but cracks which separate the wood fibers partly or completely. Different shakes are formed in different conditions as follows. Now, cup shakes are formed due to non-uniform growth of a tree. So what is the reason of cup shakes? Due to its non-uniform growth or excessive bending by cyclones or winds. In this case, the shakes develop between annual rings and separate them partly. Heart shakes, the other type of shakes which develop in maturity approaching trees whose inner part is under shrinkage. The shakes spread from pith to sapwood following the direction of medullary rings. Now here you can see, in case of cup shakes, it is along the annual rings. Some part of annual rings get defects in them. And in case of heart shakes, you can see the defect is along the medullary ring. Ring shakes are similar to cup shakes, but they completely separate the ring. So in case of ring shakes, they are similar like cup shakes. They occur along the annual rings, but they completely separate one annual ring from the other. Now, star shakes are formed due to extreme heat or severe frost action. They develop wider cracks on the outside of timber from bark to the sapwood. Now, in case of star shakes, basically in hilly areas or mountains, the the ice gets there is a layer of ice on the surface of the timber. So, when it dries, there are some cracks which are present in the bark of the tree. It can also form due to extreme heat. Now, radial shakes are developed radially from pith to bark. So, radial shakes are similar like hard shakes, but they develop from the pith to the bark, and the hard shakes develop only from the pith to the sapwood or cambium layer. Twisted fibers in timber. So, when the tree in its younger age is exposed to high speed winds, the fiber of uh, wood gets twisted. This type of wood is not suitable for sawing, so this can be used for making poles, cords, etc. Now here you can see in twisted fibers what happens is that there is a torsional force acting continuously on the wood, due to which it gets twisted. Due to cyclones and tornado it may happen. Due to frequent cyclones or tornado, twisted fibers may appear in timbers. Now, upsets are a defect of timber in which the fibers of the wood are crushed and compressed by fast flowing winds or inappropriate chopping of trees. So you can see here is the upset. Here is the upset in the wood. So when the high speed wind is attacking over this place, the below fibers get crushed and compressed, and due to cutting there may be some load applied at this point, and the upsets are formed. And in case of ringals are curved swellings of trees which are formed at a point where a branch of the tree is improperly removed or fell down. So here you can see this is a cross section of the tree excuse me, and this is the crack or opening which may occur due to when at its young age the branch from here is cut out, so there is an empty place formed in here. Now, burns are uneven projections on the body of the tree during its growth. These are mainly due to the effects of shocks and injuries received by the trees during its young age. So here you can see there are uneven projections on the wood. These are due to the shocks and injuries withstood by the trees during its young age. And next is water stain. When the wood is in contact with the water for some time, the water will damage the color of the wood and forms a stain on its surface. This defect is called as water stain. You can see this is the water stain. Due to the presence of minerals and salts in water, their pH is not there. Sometimes their pH may be greater than 7 or less than 7. So basically they react with the wood and form a mark on them, which is very hard to remove. This is known as a water stain. Now chemical stain is formed on the wood by the action of any external chemical agents like reaction by the gases present in the atmosphere, etc. The stain area gets discolored in this defect. You can see the stain area in this wood gets discolored. So this can happen due to any chemical agent or any gases present in the atmosphere around it. Now dead wood. The wood obtained from the cutting of a dead tree is light in weight and is actually defected. It is reddish in color and its strength is very less. So it can be confusing a little bit, because earlier we have studied that the wood which is dark in color is greater in strength, but we have to keep in mind that also dead wood is also deep in color. So this must be a very important factor when we cut a tree or make any wood product, that we have to distinguish between dead wood and high quality wood. Now 10 knots in timber. The central part of a stem or of a tree is majorly used in the conversion of timber. So branches from the stem are removed. When any branch or stem are removed from the tree and the whole rounded stem is taken, but the base of branches forms a mark on the stem which results in dark colored stains on the surface after conversion. The dark colored stains are due to the continuity of wood fibers. These dark colored rings are known as knot. Here you can see when it was a tree, when this wood was in the form of a tree, there was a branch or stem growing from here, which was cut, and due to that they left a mark over here. Now 11 is coarse grain defect and timber. The age of tree can be known by the number of annual rings for the fast growing trees. The gap between the annual rings is very large. So the gap between the annual rings for fast growing trees is very large. This type of trees is called coarse grain trees, and timber obtained from them is of less strength. So you can see over here, due to the fast growth of annual rings, the wood is of less strength and it also may form crack in them. Timber foxiness. When the timber is stored without proper ventilation, the trees growing near the banks of water bodies and over matured trees may exhibit this type of defect. Foxiness is generally indicated by red or yellow spots. Here you can see these yellow spots. It shows the timber foxiness, which is due to a lack of ventilation, or over matured trees can exhibit this kind of defects. Now druxiness is a defect of timber in which the top surface of timber indicates white spots. These spots will give the access to fungi. Now druxiness, now here you can see there are white spots present on the wood, which shows there is the defect called druxiness present in them, and it is due to fungi, mainly due to fungi. This defect is shown by the wood. Callus. Now callus is the wound of the tree is covered by soft skin, which is called callus. Now here you can see this is a soft skin, which is called callus. Now it is basically formed when the tree is when a branch or stem is cut from here, and the tree may not recover from that shock. After that, a special structure like this is formed. This is known as callus. Now there are certain defects due to fungi in timber. Now these are dry rots, wet rot, brown rot, white rot, blue stain, hard rot, sap stain, etc. Now dry rot in timber. Dry rot is caused by a certain type of fungi that eat woods for their living. They make food by converting timber into dry powder form. This occurs mainly when there is no ventilation of air, or if the wood improperly seasoned. Absence of sunlight, dampness, presence of sap will increase the growth of dry rot, causing fungi. This can be prevented by using well-seasoned wood and also by painting the timber surface with copper sulfate. So here is the defect. Now in these defects, the wood basically forms into powder, in powder form, and this is due to absence of sunlight, dampness, presence of sap will increase the growth of dry rot, causing fungi. This can be prevented by using well-seasoned wood. So this can be prevented by using well-seasoned wood or painting the timber surface with copper sulfate. Our next defect is wet rot in timber. Wet rot is caused by fungi that decompose the timber and convert it into grayish brown powder form. Wet rot causing fungi growths mainly when there are alternate dry and wet conditions of timber. So you can see here is the defect in the timber, which is known as wet rot caused by the fungi due to the on and off contact of moisture with this wood. Brown rot in timber. The cellulose compound of the wood are consumed by certain type of fungi. So there is this presence of the compound called cellulose, which acts as a food for the fungi, and then makes the wood brownish, and this defect is called brown rot. Due to the color of this defect, it is known as brown rot. Here you can see these are the defects known as brown rot. Now white rot in timber. Some type of fungi attack lignin of timber and leave cellulose compounds. Since this wood will turn into white color, which is called white rot. So the lignin of the wood is consumed by the fungi, and only cellulose compound is left, which exhibits white color. So blue stain in timber. Blue stain is a defect caused by some kind of fungi which makes the timber bluish. Here you can see there is a blue color of timber due to fungi action. Now, heart rot in timber. The heart rot is generated in the trees when fungi attack the heartwood through its newly formed branches. This type of fungi makes the tree hollow by consuming heartwood. This defect is known as heart rot. So you can see the portion known as heartwood, which basically is present after the pith of the wood up to the sapwood is consumed by the fungus in this case, which is known as heart rot and timber, and the fungi in this case enter from the newly grown branch of the wood. So suppose this is a tree and these are the newly grown branch of this tree. The fungi enter this tree through this newly grown branch. Now, sap stain in timber. When the moisture content in the timber is more than 25%, some types of fungi attack the sapwood and make it discolored. This type of defect is known as sap stain. Here you can see when the moisture content is more than 25%, it is suitable for a certain type of fungi to attack the sapwood and make it discolored. Here you can see it is the pith and it is the heartwood, and the sapwood is discolored. This type of defect is known as sap stain due to the area of which it covers, that is only the sapwood basically. So defects in timber during seasoning may occur, that is bow, cup, checks, split, twist, honeycombing, case hardening, collapse, warp, radial shakes. Now, bow. When the converted timber is stored for a long time, some timber planks may have a curve along its length, which is known as bow. You can see there is a distortion in shape due to the loss of moisture, and due to the similar shape of this wood to bow, it is known as bow defect in wood. Now, cup. If the timber planks curve along its width, then it is called cupping of timber. Here you can see it forms like a cup on its upper face. It is basically like the bottom of a cup, so this is known as cup defect. Now, checks is the formation of crack in the wood which will separate the wood fibers. They form due to over seasoning of timber. So there is also a drawback of over seasoning the timber, that is it may form checks like this, which separates the timber fibers of the timbers. Now, number 4 is splits. Splits form when a check extends from one end to the other end, which will split the wood into a number of pieces. So split is a modified form of check which extends from one end to another. Now, twist forms when the timber piece is distorted spirally along its length. It looks like a propeller blade after twisting. It is like forms a shape like a spring. Now 6 is honeycombing. Honeycombing occurs in the inner part of the timber when cannot be identified by just seeing. It is mainly due to stresses developed during the drying of timber. Here is black spots known as honeycombing. Now, case hardening. Case is nothing but the top surface of the wood which dries rapidly during seasoning, but the inner part didn't. Then this defect is called case hardening. So in this case you can see there is a dampness inside the wood, but the outer surface of the wood is dry, perfectly dry. So this is known as case hardening. Collapse. During drying, some part of the wood may dry rapidly while some may not. Because of this improper drying, shrinkage of wood occurs that results in the defect called collapse. So here you can see there is inconsistent shape of timber due to ununiform drying. There is a shrinkage in its shape, distortion in its shape. You can see. Now, warping is the loss of shape of wood due to stress developed during drying. Cupping, bowing, twisting of wood come under warping. So warping is distortion of wood in any shape, in however shape it may be. If the wood is distorted, then it falls under the category of warp. So radial shakes. Radial shakes develop after the tree being felled down and exposed to the sun for seasoning. In this case, the cracks run radially from bark to pith through annual rings. So in this, you can see the cracks run radially from bark to the pith through annual rings. These are known as radial shakes. So this is formed from the shock which is felt by the tree when it is cut and fell down and exposed to the sun. Defects in timber during conversion: diagonal grain, torn grain, chip mark, wane. Diagonal grain defects in timber during the conversion of timber. Different cutting saws are used. The cutting should be done properly. If there is any improper cutting by the saw, then a diagonal grain will appear. See, these are some marks which are known as diagonal grains, and this defect is due to the cutting instrument used for this wood. Torn grain. In this conversion, many tools are used. If any of the tools or any other heavy things are dropped accidentally on the finished surface of the timber, it will cause small depression, which is called torn grain. Here you can see this is the torn grain. Now, if any heavy instrument like a hammer or chisels, anything is dropped on the surface, there a depression is formed, which is known as torn grain. Chip mark. When the timber is cut through the planing machine, the parts of the machine may form chip marks on it. Usually, they are indicated by chips on the finished surface. So you can see there are some irregular shapes and ups and down, which are known as chip mark. Now, when the edge part of the timber log contains a rounded edge on the one side because of its original rounded surface, this rounded edge is called wane. And here you can see this is the defect called wane. One part of it has a rounded surface. Now, defects in timber due to insects. It can be termite, beetles, marine borers. Now, termites in timbers. Termites are known as white ants. Termites are also known as white ants, which form a colony inside the timber and eat the core part of the timber rapidly. They do not disturb the outer layer of timber, so one cannot identify their presence. The trees in tropical and subtropical regions are mostly affected by these termites. However, some trees like teak, sal, etc. cannot be attacked by termites because of the presence of termite preventing chemicals in their cellulose part. So, trees like teak, sal are prone to termites in them due to the presence of termite preventing chemicals. So, they have a special property compared to other trees. Now, beetles in timber. Beetles are a type of insect that destroy the sapwood of the tree. So, beetles target the sapwood of the tree and make a tunnel-like hole in the bark. This is the tunnel-like hole in the bark. These are made by beetles. Usually the diameter of the hole is around 2 meters. So, usually the diameter of this hole is around 2 meters. They convert sapwood into powder form, and larvae of these beetles use these holes. Almost all hardwood trees can be prone to the damage of these beetles. So again, hardwood trees are prone to these beetles. Now 3 is marine borers in timbers. Marine borers are found near coastal areas. They do not consume wood, but they make large holes of diameter up to 25 mm in the timber to live inside it. They excavate up to 60 meters deep in the wood. The wood attacked by marine borers is of less strength and discolored. They can attack all type of trees present in their region. So these are the holes made by marine borers, and they are mostly found near coastal areas. They do not consume wood, but they make large holes which have diameter up to 25 mm, and they can go up to a depth of 60 mm inside the wood. Now here is a flowchart which shows all defects in timber. Here is the recap, another recap of it. Now, defects in timber due to insect, termite, beetles, marine borers. Due to natural forces, wing crack, shakes, twisted fibers, upset, ringgalls, birds, water stain, chemical stain, dead wood, knots, coarse grain, foxiness, bruxiness, callus. Due to seasoning, bow, cup, check, split, twist, honeycombing, case hardening, collapse, warp. Due to conversion, diagonal grain, torn grain, chip mark, wane, dry rot, wet rot, brown rot, white rot, blue stain, heart rot, sap stain. Now another process is preservation of timber. Different type of preservatives for timber are present. That is coal tar, ASCU, chemical slats, oil paints, olignum paints, creosote oil. Now, coal tar for preservation of timber. Coal tar is heated and obtained liquid hot tar is applied on timber surface using brush. Coal tar contains unpleasant smell and does not allow paint on it, so it is used for door frames, window frames, etc. It is very cheap and has good fire resistance. So this is this black color compound known as coal tar. It is applied on timber for preservation of timber from any kind of insects or termites and from moisture, etc. ASCU preservation of timber. ASCU is a special preservative which is available in powder form. It is dissolved in water to get preservative solution. It should be added 6 parts by weight of ASCU in 100 parts of weight of water. So if 6 parts of weight is being used of ASCU compound, then 100 parts of water must be used in that solution. The final solution is applied on timber by spraying. So spraying is done on the wood with the solution. The solution does not contain any odor, so it is odorless. It is useful mainly to get rid of from white ants or termites. ASCU contains hydrated arsenic pentoxide. So the chemical composition of ASCU is hydrated arsenic pentoxide, copper sulfate or blue vitriol, sodium dichromate or potassium dichromate in it. After applying ASCU, the timber can be coated with paint, varnish, etc. Chemical slats for preservation of timber. Chemical slats like copper, mercury chloride and zinc chloride are used as preservative which can be dissolved in water to get liquid solution. They are odorless and they do not generate flame when contact with fire. So chemical salts can be used like zinc chloride or copper sulfate, mercury chloride, etc. as preservative. Oil paints preservative for timber. Oil paints are suitable for well seasoned wood. They are generally applied in 2 to 3 coats. Oil paints prevents timber from moisture. If timber is not seasoned, then oil paints may lead to decay of timber by confining sap. So if the timber is not seasoned, the oil paints may lead to decay of timber by confining the sap. So it may destroy the sap and it would lead to decay of timber if the wood is not seasoned properly. So oil paints must be applied on well seasoned timber for better performance and result. So Solignum paints for preservative of timber. Solignum paints are applied in hot condition using brush. They are well suitable for preserving timber from again white ants, which are also known as termites. Solignum paints can be used by adding color pigment so the timber has good appearance. So it can also be used to give aesthetic look to the wood. So creosote oil for preservation of timber. Creosote oil is prepared by the distillation of tar. It is black or brown in color. It contains unpleasant smell. It is applied in a special manner. Firstly, the timber is well seasoned and dried. Then it is placed in the airtight chamber and inside air is pumped out. Finally, creosote oil is pumped into the chamber with high pressure about 0.7 to 1 Newton millimeter square at a temperature of 500 centigrade, 50 degrees centigrade. After allowing it for 20 hours, the timber absorbs creosote oil sufficiently and taken out from the chamber. Creosote oil is a flammable, so it is not used for timber works in fireplaces. It is generally used for wood piles, poles, railway sleepers, etc. So a vacuum is created in a chamber and the creosote oil is pumped at a high pressure of 0.7 to 1 Newton millimeter. So suppose this is a chamber and the air is vacuumed. So it is vacuumed, and after that a creosote oil is pumped into this chamber at a high pressure of 0.7 to 1 Newton millimeter square at a temperature of 50 degrees. After allowing it for after keeping it still for 2 hours, the timber absorbs all the creosote oil sufficiently, and after that the timber is taken out and it is ready. And the process of preservation of the timber with the help of creosote oil is completed after that. So methods of timber preservation: brushing, spraying, injecting under pressure, dipping and stripping, charring, hot and cold open tank treatment. So brushing of timber preservative. Brushing is the simplest method of applying preservatives for well seasoned timber. Oil type preservatives are applied with good quality brushes. For better result, the applied preservative should be applied in hot condition. Multiple coats should be applied, at least 2 to 3 coats may be used, and certain time intervals should be maintained between successive coats. Now, spraying of timber. Spraying is an effective technique than brushing, because it covers the surface area more consistently. In this case, preservative solution is sprayed onto the surface using spray gun. It is time saving and quite effective. Here you can see spraying is being done of timber. Now, preservative injecting under pressure. The preservative is injected into the timber under high pressure conditions. Generally, creosote oil is applied in this manner, which is already discussed above. It is costly treatment process and required special treatment plant. So this is again a very expensive method for preservation. Now in the next slide, dipping and stepping method of timber. Dipping is another type of preserving in which timber is dipped directly in the preservative solution. In the solution penetrates the timber better than the case of brush or spraying. In some cases, the stepping or wetting of timber with preservative solution is allowed for few days or week, which is also quite effective process. So here you can see the timber is ready to be dipped in this solution, which is basically a preservative, and the surface of the timber in this case is thoroughly covered. A charring method of timber preservation. Charring is nothing but burning of timber surface, which is quite an old method of preservation of timber. In this method, the timber surface is wetted for 30 minutes and burnt up to a depth of 15 mm from top surface. The burnt surface protects the inner timber from white ants, fungi, etc. This method is not suitable for exterior woodworks, so it is applied for wood fencing poles, telephone poles, bottom, etc. So this is a charred wood which is burnt up to a depth of 15 mm after being wet for 30 minutes in water. Now, hot and cold open tank treatment of timber. Hot and cold open tank treatment of timber. In this method, the timber is placed in an open tank which contains preservative solution. This solution is then heated for a few hours at 85 to 95 degrees Celsius. Then the solution is allowed to cool and timber gets submerged with this gradual cooling. This type of treatment is generally done for sapwood. So this is a special treatment generally done for sapwood. In this method, hot and cold open tank. This tank contains a preservative solution and it has been heated for few hours up to 85 to 95 degrees centigrade. Now after that it is kept for cooling and then the timber is submerged in it. This type of treatment is generally done for sapwood. Now, suitability of timbers for specific uses. Now here is a chart which shows the suitability of timbers. Purpose: agricultural implements, hard and durable, should take good polish. Bell, the nature of tree are bell, arjun, babul, blackwood, etc. Now, purpose: houses, sufficient closed grains. So the grains must be close enough. Now it must take good polish. Toughness and durability must be present. Pleasing odor, pleasing color should be present. Easy to work with, so the workability must be high. And the nature of the trees is siso, teak, ablus, babul, haritaki, jial, katbel, mahua, nirmali, redwood, walnut, etc. Now the purpose: bridge. The requirements are strength, hardness, resistance to salt water action, durability in moist places and underwater. Now the nature of the trees are babul, red, kedar, ironwood, jarul, nageshwar, sal, satin, siso. And for the purpose of carts and wheels, hardness and durability and close grain are a must requirement. And the jial, arjun, babul, tamarind are the example. Now for the purpose of columns, beams and door frames, etc., hardness and durability is a must. Should take good polish. Flexibility, light in weight, easy to work, lasts under water. Now the example of these are arjun, gamahar, bamboo, coconut, palm, mango, pial, palm. The 6 is the purpose of furniture: light, soft and durable, should take good polish, close grained, easy to work with. Teak, champa, deodar, raktagandha, walnut, shisham are the example of the trees which are mainly used for furniture making. Fancy goods and toys are should the wood required for them must be easily workable. Strength and durability must be high. Fairly hard and lightweight. Scented. And the example of the trees that are used are simul, sandal, babul, mahogany, etc. Using instruments, pleasing brick red color, soft and easy to work, beautiful mottling, tune and walnut are the trees required for them. Scientific instruments should be moderately hard and tough, too light, easy to work with. The example of scientific instrument, the wood that is required for scientific instrument is guava. Now, packing boxes, soft and light in weight, lasts underwater, cheap. Example are simul, mango, deodar. Now, pegs. For the manufacturing of pegs, the criteria are hardness and durability, cheap. Example Arjun, coconut, palm, kher. Now, piles. For piles, strength, hardness and durability, close grains, red kedar, seesaw, sal, nageshwar, ironwood, etc. Now, railway carriages, close grains, hardness and durability must be there, should take good polish, black wood, teak, ironwood, redwood, etc. Here are some other purposes. You may read it. Now, properties of wood. The properties of wood is a specific gravity must be 1.54, moisture content, structural elements is 12 to 20% of doors and 10 to 10% for windows. Now, shrinkage, linear shrinkage along the fibers lies between 0.1 to 0.3% in radial direction between 3 and 6%. So these are some basic guidelines for a good property wood. Swelling of wood along the length of fiber ranges from 0.1 to 0.8%, 3 to 5% in the radial direction. Heat conductivity, the coefficient of heat conductivity along the fibers is 1.8 times greater than. So along the fibers, heat conductivity is 1.8 times greater than across the fibers, and average 0.5 to 0.27 kilocalorie per mH degree centigrade. Now, sound conductivity, the velocity of sound is in wood is 2 to 17 times greater than that in air, and as such wood may be considered to have high sound conductivity. Now, wood-based products are veneers. These are veneers which are mainly used on the surface of wood products. Now, plywoods. Plywoods are also being used nowadays for furniture making. Now, fiber boards, particle boards. So that's it for today, and thank you for watching, and I hope you liked my video lecture. So thank you.